What car is that one?
A Volkswagen. A Subaru!
A Subaru!
Yeah!
What do you like about Subarus?
So much about it.
What's the best car?
Subaru!
What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Uberkooledgarage. This week's episode has came out quite a bit later than I was expecting it to be. I got super sick. I've been basically laid up in bed for the last couple days. Just now kind of starting to get over it. I was planning on having this video out on Monday, but with me getting sick, this one really put me down. So I've been in bed, but I have gotten a ton of work done on both cars. As you're about to see, got a lot done on Ryan's car. There's actually still quite a bit more progress that won't be shown in this video yet, or in this video, but next video, definitely a lot more work. So let's go ahead and hop into this episode, and I hope you guys enjoy. Update time. I got the entire shroud done. You can see I have the rubber seal that goes all the way around, so there's no gaps anywhere around this. There is a small one on each corner. I don't think that was I don't think there is any way to get around that, but the radiator is now surrounded, so the majority of the air is going to go through the radiator no matter what. It has to. So went ahead, there's a bolt there and a bolt there and two bolts up here that hold the top plate.
Ended up just welding the bottom plate in there. Worked out perfect. I am going to put a seal in this side and that side. That way you can slide it in there. All that stuff will get sealed up. The mounting bracket did a little bit different. Came through the front and put a nutsert in here. That way it pushes the radiator into that seal. You can see that it is still quite angled. We'll go ahead and we'll get the fan put on there. But now that I have this, I also cut these out on both sides. Now that this section's done, now I can start building the scoops in. We'll get the scoops built, and then we'll start working on the exit side of the radiator. And then after all that's kind of said and done, then we can start running all the pipes, getting all that stuff situated, set up. And we'll start digging into other bits and pieces of this car, try and get it done. I'm going to try and knock out a lot of this here coming up in the next couple weeks. That way Ryan can get his car back. Everything here is looking pretty darn good. And then after all of this stuff's built, we'll go ahead and we'll paint all of this. I'll probably end up painting some of the engine bay or the under the hood, if not all of it, and start finishing up wiring. So let's go ahead and build these side scoops. Well, went ahead and kind of vacuumed out the inside of the car. There's quite a bit of parts and stuff in here still. So just partially vacuumed it. I'm still not 100% sure on if we're replacing the full floorboards or not, but just kind of cleaned it up. That way it gives me a little bit nicer working room. So there are a absolute ton of speaker wires throughout the car. Probably go through trace and get rid of a lot of them, because I mean they're absolutely everywhere, all the way back through. So now I'm going to pull that back carpet out. I'll unbolt the master cylinder, get that all unbolted and out, slide in the new one, and then start figuring out what I got going on with the clutch. So I think what I'm going to end up doing is I have an extra, or I'll probably take the one out of the Bug, the hydraulic clutch pedal. So what I'll probably end up doing is, I think down here, I'm probably going to drill a hole and run the rod through there. And I have a weld-on bracket that welds onto the clutch pedal itself. And then I also have a weld-in bracket that welds into the other side that the actual clutch slave cylinder will bolt onto. That way the master cylinder and the clutch cylinder will be side by side right next to each other. So I think that's going to be the best bet. I have fittings and stuff for that. I have a clutch line already for that. And then I will probably take my cylinder that's on the Bug and bolt it up to this, because it's the same transmission. Actually, you know what? Maybe it might not be. I'll have to dig through parts. I think he might already have one, but the clutch flex line, I believe, is the same, so we'll probably use that and use his cylinder. For back there, we'll get those tied in. I'll probably just run it down through with the brake line, follow the brake line up, and then connect that in. That way the clutch and brake stuff is all set up and ready. I am going to try and figure out where I'm going to mount the ECU and relays. And then once those are mounted, then I'll start pulling wires for all of that, get all that stuff plugged in. And I think I'm also probably going to take the starter off of the Bug. And then he can either order one or just pay me back for mine. So we'll figure that out later. But get all that stuff situated, and then after that stuff situated, basically everything in this general area is complete. I have one little heater hose line to loop right there, but then I can start building out the box that boxes all this stuff off. That way it seals everything up and gets it all nice and clean. So we'll go ahead and do the clutch pedal and the master cylinder, and then we'll hop onto the ECU and wiring and stuff. So let's keep pushing along. Got the new master cylinder in there. Everything worked out really good. If you guys are changing your master cylinder, it is a pain in the butt to do by yourself, because you got to get it in the hole, have something to prop it up in here, and then you have to go in the car and bolt it in this way, and this always ends up falling or something. So if you have an extra hand, it definitely helps. And another thing, the brake light switches, definitely put those on before you put them in, unlike I did. It's kind of a pain in the butt to get wrenches down in the back one to get it to tighten up, but those are in. I still have to run the front brake lines, but I remember I have to weld these back in. So I'll cut that flange part off, get those welded back in. I'll clean all this stuff back up since it's been down here and dirty. So the clutch system, this is, don't mind the master cylinder. It's this one was like this when I bought it. The brake fluid, somebody had painted it white. The brake fluid basically just ate through all of that. But this is basically the setup that I'm thinking about doing. This has an extended shaft, so I'm going to pull the master cylinder out of the Bug, since I know it's the right size and I know that it works with these clutches. So I'm going to pull the one out of the Bug. I'll clean it up, get it all nice and pretty, make it look new. I mean, it basically is new. I only drove the car 5 times. So I'll clean that up. We'll get it all bolted together. I think I'm probably going to weld this bracket down onto the pan down there. And then this will run through the firewall, and it has a weld tab. So that'll get welded to the clutch pedal. I think this will work out all right. I do have a jam nut and a new boot, so we can do this. It's got a single outlet, and we'll run that in a hard line right next to the rear brake line, and then we'll go up into the clutch slave. So I think this is going to work out pretty good. And I know it works in the Bug, but I've never done it kind of on a factory setup like this. So basically probably go through the firewall right there-ish. And then that tab will get welded on there. And then we'll get all that stuff situated. And after that, then I can plug the gas tank back in, hook up all the fuel lines, all of that stuff. And we should be good underneath here. So try and finish up all the little bits and pieces. I mean, there are a ton of tiny little bits and pieces that kind of just, if you look at it as a whole, it's definitely one of those things that can be overwhelming. But if you can come out in the garage and work on your project car for even an hour every single night or every other night, your project will get done. It does take time and money, but the Bug has been a very money-oriented time frame. So with all project cars, just takes time, but it'll definitely get there if you just kind of work at it and chip away. So let's keep pushing forward with this and get a little bit closer. Went ahead and unbolted the pedal assembly, so we should be able to pull this out now. Let's see. Super difficult. Actually, I'm probably gonna leave it like this. So you can see right there, I have a hole drilled in the firewall there. And what I'm gonna do is this plate here will bolt on to that. So I need to hole saw out a hole right here and then drill a hole up top and a hole down low for the bolts to run through. And then we'll go ahead and weld this piece here onto the clutch, and that will work out really well. So we'll go ahead and drill this hole real quick, and then I'll show you what's going on. Well, after messing around with the clutch and all that stuff, the actual master moved quite a bit. So what I've done is I have sleeved where it goes in between the firewall. So went ahead, welded that stuff on there. Nice, good. So that will pinch in between the firewall because there's two separate layers. So it'll sandwich enough just to hold it where it needs to be, but with this, it won't flex around inside that tunnel. Also went ahead and tack welded the bolts on here. That way you can just tighten up these ones from behind, make it nice and easy. It'll get to a point where it's tight, and then should work out pretty darn well. So I need to drill the holes out a little bit bigger to slide these sleeves in. I'll leave the outside bolts the same size. So we'll go ahead and drill those. I'm gonna paint this up and then we can slap it all back together. Here's the finished product. I went ahead and painted the pedals black. I went ahead and painted around this section here too. Just lightly dusted it in black paint. So everything's all nice and clean now. So when we go to put carpet around here, none of the orange will show through. So this works out really good. I also went ahead and drilled another hole for the clutch line. Runs and follows the brake line right next to itself. You can see down there, just follows right down past. Clutch functions great. So plenty of pedal movement. And then the brake system's back in. The throttle system's back in. I still have to work on getting the throttle mounted to the actual throttle body itself, but that shouldn't be too big a deal. In top side, that's how that turned out. So you got your clutch cylinder there and your master cylinder there. I have to order a new brake fitting flaring tool so I can tag that in, and then I have to run the front brake lines, but I still have to mount these in there. So I think what I might do is I might put a bend in it here and then drill a hole and just bolt it down to the actual frame down there on both sides, and then should be able to get those brake lines in, and then everything under here is basically done. I have 2 wires to run for the fuel pump and tie that in, and that's it. And then we can put the fuel tank back in, get it all situated and ready to rock. So we're made quite a bit of progress. I think next on the list will be finishing the scoops and probably starting to dig into wiring, get everything all situated. So we'll continue pushing forward on this.
Alright guys, so that's all the time I have for you on this video. Like I said in the beginning, there's quite a bit of progress that has been made since putting out this video. So now I'm feeling a lot better. I'll start getting back on my feet, get out into the garage. Still have kind of a voice thing going on, but the next video will probably be a bug video. Might be another Ryan video, I'm not 100% sure. Depends on how things kind of lay out. But both cars getting a ton of progress. I got some new parts, or some new stuff for the bug that have shown up in the last couple days. Of course, I get all my parts as soon as I'm sick, so kind of a bummer there, but it's time to start pushing and moving on everything. So the next couple weeks, I am going to be pushing extremely hard on both vehicles, trying to get as much done as I physically can. So hopefully everything kind of works out the way that it needs to work out, and we will keep pushing. So until the next video, peace out, guys.